the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion on the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
This is just that we approve these things in that motion.
Okay.
All in
And your
favor?
agenda is right.
Right on top. Perfect, thank you. The next Board of Selectmen meeting for the town of West Bath will be Monday, December 2nd at 5:30 at the West Bath Town Office. These meetings are somewhat out of order on account of the holiday schedules. Welcome Suzanne, our most recently elected select board member. We've already had some informal conversation and you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
We are having a board-wide, town-wide board, almost all the boards are involved, with the meeting with the auditor on Tuesday, November 19th, that's tomorrow evening, at 6 o'clock. That meeting will take place at the fire hall because there are so many people involved in all of our boards. The public is invited. We are discussing auditing, the audit report. We're going to be discussing the procedures that are followed when bills are presented, et cetera, et cetera. It'd be a wide-ranging conversation. Public comment. Have we any comment from the public?
Do you have any problems with the snow and ice
It's snow and ice.
on the roads?
We did have an issue. Christine, can you speak to that? You have the most recent information.
Yes, I've been talking with Ben Goodall, who's, in charge of the company that we use for winter snow removal. The person who had the lead for the town of West Bath is no longer the lead. They put somebody else in charge. He understands and recognizes that we had issues during the last icing, and he's confident that that won't happen again. So, they have everything they need to do the job. He's confident they can do the job.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be an issue again. If it is, we'll continue discussions.
I would also like to note Jamie Hill came in, he's no longer subcontracting for Goodall and has asked that residents not call him with snow issues. So
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't think anyone's been referring to Jamie, but just to put it out there.
Mhm.
Yes, if people have concerns about the roads, people should either contact Steve Reno or one of the members of the select board, or if the town office is open at the time, then the town office is the appropriate appeal.
Okay.
I'm asking
Further
if there's
public
anybody with
comment?
public comments.
Business item number 1, the comprehensive plan status. Christine, you can fill us in on that?
Well, we had a meeting on November 4th. There were 4 of us present, myself, Carly, and 2 members of the appointed committee attended that meeting. I'm really gonna let Carly field this if she doesn't mind. She will be the staff liaison to the committee. So I'll let her pipe in with her perspective on what's occurred.
Well, we've had a lot of our committee members drop off from the comprehensive plan committee, and we talked about the best way to proceed. The members that were there have put in a lot of work, and it's tremendous. What we kind of agreed to is taking a step back at the moment, which isn't ideal, but really letting Christine and I flesh out the plan as it stands now into a more, I guess, readable document to move forward and edit. So kind of take it back to bare bones, fleshing out all of the obvious things. We've had a lot of changes as far as having a full-time code enforcement officer. We no longer have the air base, so just really obvious things that need to be changed that don't necessarily need to be tackled by the board. The document as it reads now is a little daunting, so make it a little bit more comprehensive. And then bring in the board to begin reviewing and move forward with public hearings once it's a more manageable document. Because we're getting close to the end of the census, which will be finished in 2020.
We'll have the results in April of 2021.
So our
Yeah.
plan is to hold off to the 21 town meeting, so we have the most up-to-date current information, so we're not working with something from 2010 and 2020, so.
Yeah, so basically we'll have the bones together, everything will be structured, and we'll plug in the new data, so that when we have an accepted comp plan, that it won't have the old data.
That makes sense.
I think so.
In the meantime, how many pages is the original comp plan? It's like a book.
Couple hundred?
Yeah, I'd say maybe 260
Yeah.
If there's any way
with
to,
appendix.
if there's any way to simplify that and still meet this,
There's a bit of
demands of this.
redundancy.
Mhm.
The state has standards, so we have to meet their criteria, the
Absolutely.
page of things that they want us to make sure that we have covered. And some of that would include up-to-date census material.
Mhm.
Was John Kerry, can we talk to John Kerry yet?
He is
I
no
think he's the
longer,
contact
No,
man.
he is no
He's
longer
not.
involved in the process. The state planning office has changed departments, I believe.
From the forestry department?
Well, I guess it's still in the, I still think
Yeah.
it is in this forestry, but they have another thing, and they have hired more help to fill the office. So there are more people, and we have been assigned a worker
Right.
to
Good,
work with us.
So we have two different points of contact at this
good.
juncture.
And they were very helpful. When I made contact about 6 or 8 weeks ago, they were very helpful with information and they assigned us the person right there, so that was good. Committee appointments. Do we have,
Mhm.
I'm behind in my book here.
Yeah, you'll see them in your book. They're for the Budget Advisory Committee, the Investment Committee, and what was the other one, Appeals Board? Yeah. So I have the originals here if you would like to
Okay.
go ahead and
Which I think those can all be done in one motion if you prefer to just go down the list, just set them right there.
Okay.
I believe they're all reappointments with the exception of, is the comprehensive plan in there?
there is
Board
one
of
there.
Appeals.
I think it's
Board
appeals.
of Appeals. Okay.
Barry Kempson, yes.
So, I would move appointment of Barry Kempson to his first term as an alternate member of the Board of Appeals. For Jeff Emerson to the Budget Advisory Committee. To Darlene Estabrook to the Budget Advisory Committee. To David Hennessy to the Budget Advisory Committee. Donna Mary to the Budget Advisory Committee. Mark Travis to the Budget Advisory Committee. Steve Kalish to the West Bath Investment Committee. And that concludes it. Did I get everybody?
You did.
Could I have a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Carly, will you notify people of?
Well, hopefully they'll all be there tomorrow night.
I could have a mass swearing in.
So then we need to have all the selectmen sign the appointments.
So
So
these are the pages.
sign one and pass her down.
We have a little pause where people can fast forward their radios. This is all on YouTube, you know that? It really is.
You're very popular, a lot of people watch you.
A lot of hits. I'd say the average meeting has about 60 viewers.
Really?
Hi, Ron.
Hello.
Pretty impressive, I think.
How you doing?
Probably a lot of it's just my mom watching it over and over again.
I was gonna say,
Proud.
Cousins chime in
Daughter.
and, take a peek at it.
How many times in a row now?
All the time. Probably at least 30 of those,
Just to see what we said.
yeah. And then Joy's just checking in, make sure you're really here and not out at poker night or something.
Poker. I'm in.
It's nice to know that people look at it,
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
but it's really more scintillating if you're in person.
You can tell how far through the meeting they made it, like the average. Don't always make it all the way through, not all that way through.
Well, it really is important that we make it through. The other observers don't have to. There, thank you. We have, committee liaisons, and we just, a few weeks ago, adopted a policy on town committee procedures. One of the things that's in that extensive document is the, notation that we may assign one of the board to, each committee that the board appoints. So we have some suggestions here from our town administrator as to who might do what in terms of our jobs. And we have both, on this page, we have both staff liaison and the select board suggested staff liaison. So you will note that you have been suggested.
See, a couple of times, actually.
Yes, well, we have a lot of committees and there's only 3 of us.
Some of them meet very seldom.
Yes, the appeals board does not meet often. The assessment review board does not meet often. The energy committee, David will tell you how often that is meeting. And the planning board does meet monthly. Kathy, you okay with your suggestions?
So what day does the planning board meet on?
Second Tuesday of the month.
I don't have to get from two, just when I need to be with.
Yeah, I'll get a copy of this and send out their schedules.
And then the energy committee, when does that typically meet?
Sort of on an
We're just
on-call.
working on things now, so
Yeah.
nothing scheduled as of yet.
Yeah.
Not monthly.
They don't have regular meetings, the
Ad hoc.
recycling committee doesn't have regular meetings.
Well, they will now. No, not really.
I know for the cemetery committee, Nick Homan has requested to do his Eagle project and map our cemeteries for West Bath.
He's in the process of that with the chair, Katie.
So he asked me to assist in some of that because it seems to have paused in communication.
Excellent. Yeah, I know they're in the process of setting up I say fall meeting, but it sounds like it's gonna be more of an early winter meeting, so.
Yeah, he's definitely looking to
Move
help.
forward, good.
Yeah, so which is good.
Yeah.
It really is a great project.
The scouts are here to help whenever you need them.
In your packet, you have the policy on town committee procedures, okay? For your interest in edification. All right. So those are the committee liaisons. I think we're all accepting our suggested appointments.
Okay, great.
Business item number 4, the accounts payable policy.
Yes, we have a policy already for payroll, which allows one member of the board to come in and sign on an off week when you don't have a meeting and approve the warrant. Generally, it takes 2 signatures to approve a warrant. This will give the treasurer the same latitude if an AP warrant needs to be run on an off week, then you can choose one member of the board to come in and sign it, and it will be okay. It's especially helpful around the holidays when sometimes meetings are canceled, and, you know, Julie doesn't like to hold the bills too long, you know, so that they're past their due date, so. That's what the policy is for. It's not meant to be a regular thing. Generally, you'll just review the warrant during the meeting, but it is helpful in case we hit a snag for whatever reason. And I have a copy of the policy here if you choose to approve it.
It specifies that the policy is in addition to, but not in place of, majority power. And the authority is for municipal accounts payable to the current municipal officers. So it wouldn't be anybody who is not otherwise authorized. Is there any discussion?
So it is on a date indicated, outdated, okay.
So, this is probably something that we should vote on. Do I have a motion? A motion on the,
I make a motion that we enact the policy on occasions, when the select board meets regularly, may be necessary to issue a warrant during that week with no scheduled meeting, and this will allow one signature from the board.
A second?
any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you, this is helpful. Business item number 5. Now, this is a topic near and dear to my heart. The staff Christmas lunch. The staff has typically had a potluck Christmas lunch. You'll see in your notebook that it says it was suggested that a catered lunch be provided this year. Catered as in they can order out, not that we're going to have waiters coming in.
Black tie.
It was suggested by me that that would be a suitable reward for our hardworking staff, to authorize a reasonable lunch menu be offered to the staff, and that we, the select board, authorize that it be paid for from the select board contingency fund. What say you?
How many people is it for, and
It's for 5 people probably.
should we perhaps set a limit for that?
And I just wonder how much heartburn this is gonna bring with the current raises they just got, because that's still a whole lot of talk around this town. So I think we really have to set a reasonable limit for me to be in support of it with.
Well, what did our last lunch from the cabin cost, Carly?
Ooh, I think it was maybe $46 for the last lunch.
Because it's still a lot of talk about those raises, so just want to be careful that people don't feel like a lot of the money's being dropped here at town hall.
Okay, yep. Would we authorize up to $100?
I think that would be good.
So,
And if I
yeah,
could interject,
sure.
in the interest of being not too PC, but you do maybe just say winter holiday lunch for the staff, or something like that, so that it's a little more palatable to everybody.
Then we are talking about what has traditionally been known as the Christmas potluck, but however, we will call it the winter holiday
Banquet.
Something.
order out.
Banquet sounds too expensive.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not going
Snack.
to just call it.
Snack.
Maybe helps keep down any
Yes.
Let's get some goldfish crackers.
Maybe some cheese.
Cheese is expensive.
Well, since it was my suggestion, I will move that we authorize up to $100 for the town office staff to enjoy a holiday luncheon. May I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Thank you. It's quite a risk. All right. Thank you, I really do appreciate that, the staff works hard. And, town administrators update.
Yeah, we have a few short items that don't really require any action, but I just wanna make sure everybody knows what's going on. The LED project that we're gonna do here at the town office, we applied for a grant, and we received a small grant to defray the cost of the project here at the town office. They calculate it by taking the amount of our estimated rebate, which was $1,891, and then they gave us half of that. So an additional $946. But it's a little bit of a gesture that will help us do the project for a little bit less money, so.
Good.
Wanted to let you know about that. The grant comes from the Nature Conservancy.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Kristen.
And who applied for that grant?
I did on behalf of the town.
Thank you.
Okay, the Comcast, I just wanted to make mention of the Comcast lawsuit
Yes.
and the fact that the town has already spent upwards of $2,000 for legal costs towards that, what I consider to be a frivolous lawsuit. I don't want the board to lose sight of the amount of money that we're having to expend to this major company for something that didn't amount to any threat to them.
Has there been any discussion with our representatives to see if we can get that back?
They're aware of it, but what was decided on by the court specifically states that the towns can't ask for any of their legal costs to be covered. So I think that was a tactical error. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what was agreed to. So,
Are we
just,
gonna have any more costs associated with this?
we may,
Can
I hope
what
not.
is this lawsuit?
Can you explain it, Madeline?
Sort of. So the legislature, in the last session, required Comcast to provide expanded broadband. And they have filed a suit to prevent the towns, to try to prevent the towns from asking for our broadband to be expanded. This was kind of a preemptive strike.
So Comcast wants to stop
They want to stop
the expansion.
the towns from being able to act on this legislation. The Attorney General is suing them, or they are suing the Attorney General, I don't remember who did what, but the towns who have contracts with Comcast were sued by Comcast right off the get-go.
So, and that's our only cable provider at this time, is that correct?
Yes.
And how long is our contract? 35?
2020,
It's a long time.
I can't remember right now.
It's a very long
Remember, dude?
contract.
It's a
Yeah,
10-year
It's not an
contract.
exclusive, is it? It's an
Yes.
exclusive contract?
yes.
All the cable companies have exclusive contracts.
Mhm.
But there's other towns that have multiple providers.
Not in this area.
They negotiated different contracts than we did.
We are sharing, because our municipal law firm shares, also has the same, serves also Kittery. So we are dividing the legal fees with Kittery, so even
That's half the cost.
2,000 is half the cost. This lawsuit was filed, what, September?
Yes.
I guess I'm just confused, we had no input in this, the legislature set it up. How are we being held accountable?
Because they don't want us to be able to act on,
But we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
no, we did
Yeah.
nothing,
No.
exactly.
That'd be like if we had a class action by our residents telling us not to charge excise tax.
Yeah,
It's not our authority to even
no, it's,
make that decision.
Have we spoken to our area reps at all about this?
Yeah, they're aware of it.
Well, aren't they coming
Have
here
they talked to,
shortly to meet with West Bath?
Yeah, they're coming ahead of the next meeting.
on the
Both
second.
Jay and Eloise will be here. I think it's a good time to talk
Conversation to
about
have with
that.
them.
Well, if it was part of the agreement, it sounds like that ship has sailed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the way I read it, it says specifically, they cover their bases.
And this is until 2028?
I think it was a 10-year contract.
It's a 10-year contract, I just can't
Who
recall the
signed, who
exact
started the
year.
contract?
Well,
It's been going
the
on for a
municipal
while.
officers have the authority to enter into a franchise agreement. The state gives the municipal officers of each town the authority to do that.
But they didn't give us the authority to have a voice in the expansion.
Correct. It's a very strange law.
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't anticipate that the legislators expected that the towns would be sued,
Mhm.
so.
So with all the money that
Think
the
of how
state
it
has,
has-
they just find a way
Well,
to
the
reimburse.
Comcast has nothing to lose. They're given an exclusive until,
There's no other competition around here.
there's Hughes, I keep getting postcards from them.
If we make
Yeah.
mistakes,
Hughes is in Bath.
Hughes isn't cable though.
It's satellite.
This is specific to cable.
but if we have somebody in this town to do something, or if we make a mistake, we have to pay it. If the legislature's made a mistake, I'm not sure why the state doesn't to somehow rectify this.
So is this cable TV, internet, phone? What is their exclusive nature?
I believe it started out as cable,
Cable TV.
and probably includes internet now, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, Comcast provides
They-
both.
This was the same company we had
Does Fairpoint provide?
since the
them?
70s.
So does
So
Hughes?
it's just cable.
So just television?
It's just cable TV.
The only thing we
Cable
have other
TV.
than
So
that
not satellite TV.
Or
Right.
internet.
is
Right.
DirecTV. We don't
Cable
want
TV.
So in theory, we could perhaps entertain other opportunities for
Well,
other
this
services.
is why I think the townspeople really need to understand that this occurred.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And, if there's a push to do something in a different way for our next agreement, I think that would be in order.
I don't, but even entertaining other providers for telephone and internet would be beneficial to our residents if they're not held accountable to one agency
But
at that
cable
point.
TV's becoming like Big Brother, and we need to stop it. You will get this, and you will pay this, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, and it's really getting to the point where cable is not affordable.
I remember what the specific one was. The specific question that they had, not just about the expansion, but the legislature said that they had to allow consumers the opportunity to choose their own programming. That was the
So
specific
it was
thing.
specific to TV, it was à la carte,
Yeah.
Because so many people
cable
are
TV
using
channels.
other services, Netflix or anything else that it's not, that TV is becoming a smaller scope of viewing in the spectrum of, so perhaps we offer other providers of internet and telephone to give them more options if they're using other devices.
we can make those offers at the time when it's time to explore the new contract. I don't think we probably want to, I mean, personally, I wouldn't advocate incurring other legal expenses to cancel the contract at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying cancel, I'm just saying provide
Oh,
other opportunities.
I would be urging anybody who listens that perhaps they would like to sever their personal
Yes, and
relationships
that's
with
exactly my
Comcast.
point.
But that's my point, but we can provide another internet platform so they can watch Netflix wherever they wanna watch Netflix, or whatever
Yeah.
their solution is.
And that's really not the board's responsibility. The board's tasked specifically with cable TV franchise agreements. So the other options are out there and they're available. And that's why I would like the townspeople to know what's going on so that they can decide for themselves whether maybe it's time
To look elsewhere.
to look elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's the most important piece, is letting the town people know
Yeah.
what's occurring.
Yeah,
And if people wish to sever their ties with Comcast because they are offended by this frivolous lawsuit, they should let people know
sure.
that that is the reason that they are canceling their service. There are other ways to get internet or
Telephone.
television services. Is there other?
Well, let's talk about Kings Point for a minute.
Oh, okay, sure.
That little plot of land that is town-owned, and we had talked at one point whether it would make sense to allow easements in perpetuity or a license to use
Yes.
that portion of land for the septic tank or a well or some other use. I talked with Sally Daggett about that, and she indicated that subsurface law dictates that if a property owner uses other land, not their own land for those purposes, that it's required that they have an easement in perpetuity.
Okay.
So that really holds us to that rather than issuing a license.
Right.
I'm not sure that this would happen anyway, we haven't had any requests.
Right.
But just for the future, if something comes up, we really need to understand that we can only grant the easement.
Okay. That's good to know.
Ben Goodall, in my chats with him, he requested that they be able to put up temporary storage, temporary office structure next to our sand shed, and then have propane heat in it. So I contacted our insurance company, we go through MMA, risk management, and they really said that because that building wouldn't be town property, they couldn't really tell us what to do, but they don't think it's a good idea. I really don't think this should go any further. There's all kinds of considerations that we would have to talk about if they were going to put some kind of a cargo building structure
Yeah.
in that area. They would have to be sure to follow code and anything that the fire marshal's office dictates. And also egress would be a consideration if they have propane in there, they would have to have 2 exits. I think this is something that we probably don't wanna pursue.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that it doesn't interfere with our ability to use that property for its intended use.
And it probably needs some unrealistic insurance policy, I would imagine, to cover.
Yeah, and they have only 1 year left in their contract, so I'm not sure why they're going to this place, but I would discourage you from allowing that to be done.
It was not covered in the original contract, and I don't
No.
see any reason why we should expand the contract. I understand that the professed need, but I don't think we can.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think we
really,
can serve it.
they could hold on to the local store, except.
Yeah, see, I think
from
they used to
11
use, I
5, it would be hard.
think they used to use J.R.
They
Hill,
did. But really,
and
the
that's
hours-
not an option anymore.
Right. So really, 11 to 5 is really good. Where are they gonna, they could actually stay down there during those hours too, but I'm not sure it meets all of their needs, but that's not
That's,
our problem to figure out.
no, I don't think it is. I think that remains an issue for that company and not for the town of West Bath.
Okay, and lastly, I included some information in your packet about the Boston Post cane. I don't know how familiar you might be with that program,
Yes.
but the cane is given by the municipality to the eldest person in town.
Do we have one?
We don't
We have
have
an
one.
oldest
I mean,
person
the
in
oldest
town.
I mean, we have an oldest person.
I mean, I
but
don't
The
know.
cane has disappeared.
I don't know that West Bath has ever had a cane, or maybe it's just sitting in somebody's house somewhere.
I don't believe
But
we ever
I happen to think it's a pretty cool tradition,
150 years ago, a long time ago, I think.
have.
and I would
Long
like
time
to
ago.
see
So
us.
somebody has the cane, MIA, did we have one?
I think they did 100 years ago, but not,
I
Yeah.
would
I think they
imagine that
got,
we,
I think they got it.
we had
so-
one with Bath, and probably when we left Bath,
Probably,
kept
yeah.
the cane,
you didn't think it came with us?
no. We got that shovel.
So,
That's a good way to do community inclusion. We're always talking about how do we become more of
Yeah.
a community.
yeah, and I really like the tradition, I respect it, and it's kind of fun just to, be able to give the cane to the oldest person.
We should get it.
This was,
Christine talks about how fun it is, but it's actually the town clerk's responsibility.
it was, the information says that it was begun in 1909, so we would have had
Oh, so
one.
we
If
would-
we had one, it would have been our
We
own.
probably didn't get the memo that we were in our own town.
So the town of Peterborough, New Hampshire makes these canes for towns who have either lost theirs or never had one. They do the etching that you're looking at, Madeline,
Yeah?
and then all that we have to do is add West Bath, have West Bath engraved on the cane. They're $150. So I
Don't
would
raise-
just like you to consider
Don't
maybe
raise
doing
cane.
that at some point.
Don't raise any cane, right?
I think this would be a great thing to do and then maybe present it at the next town meeting.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that would be
I
awesome.
think it's a cool idea. I know.
I like it.
Yeah, and I asked around the office and everybody's like, yeah, or what the heck is that?
I just think it's a great idea as far as becoming a community, and that's what we keep talking about. We're struggling with, is making this a community, and I
Right,
think that's a great beginning.
and Carly can generally tell from the voter records who the eldest person is.
No, you can't put yourself down. Oh, but you can put me down, because I already had 2 records, you just
You
need
can
to
just add them together.
So is it the oldest man or the oldest citizen?
Citizen.
Citizen.
Typically, it would be a woman.
Wow.
We do have a couple of gentlemen that are up there in
Right.
age,
Yeah.
so
Bonnie's not that old.
that's not why he's
Oh,
here.
He's not here to get the
He's not here to raise king.
That's a cool idea.
Maybe nice to meet you. Maybe you get a little picture in the paper or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Put
it's
West
kind of
Bath
fun.
in there.
Present it at a select
Right.
person's meeting or
Town meeting.
something.
Town meeting.
So that-
He's
good.
fantastic.
I think town meeting would be great. I remember when we used to do those minstrel shows, they were so much fun, and so many of the town members came together.
That was in the olden days, little town variety show, they were good. My dad was Snowball Hennessy. Do we want to adopt, authorize expenditure?
I do.
I do.
I do. By unanimous consent, $150 for a reproduction Boston Post cane for the oldest citizen.
I like it, thank you. I think it'll be fun.
Okay, now, are was in such a hurry to get to other, and there was so many other things to be done before we had other. Do we have any other others? Okay. Now, we are acting in the capacity of the Board of Assessors, because we do two things. We seldom have to act as the Board of Overseers of the board, but we frequently have to act as the Board of Assessors. So now we put on our other hat, and we're assessing. We have some certificates of abatement, sir?
Yeah, we've got two that come up.
Bring a chair.
This is
Under some papers.
Suzanne for your election to the board.
Thank you.
You take the easy one first. Do that.
Thank you. I need to recuse myself on this one, I believe.
You too, it's all right.
That's all right.
It's a simple one right now. It's an error in the formula used last year compared to this year. Last year's formula was the correct one for the parcel of land, and that is asking for abatement of $198.45 for them. Basically, that's his figured, the only thing mistake I could find in the computer was that. It went from 100% to 50%, and 50% of depreciation.
I was just looking at it
What
wrong,
is
we'll
it?
probably need a different
Yeah,
form.
it's, huh?
We'll probably need a different form, because it looks like exclamation mark 9845.
Instead of 198. There's an
Oh, really?
exclamation, yeah, there's a typo.
198.
I just think that looks like 9845, so if we sign this.
Oh, yeah,
on
see,
screen-
it's kind of,
Graphical error.
yeah. Kind of blurred out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Copy machine. I always turned it on dark, I should have this time.
Can it be amended to be approved, or?
I think so, I just think, make sure that we get the right
Just
form.
initial, do we
Yeah.
initial it on here, or do we do a whole new form?
I think we need a whole,
Yeah.
Did you say that
What
was
does
in the
yours
accounts
say?
payable or no? Were they separate?
What's that?
do
The
you have one that
abatements
says
aren't
something
there, are
different?
they?
It looked like Julie was doing reimbursements for taxes or some kind of abatements, that's what it looked like. But I didn't look at it very closely.
We should check that.
For real estate was 18.9.
Right, we're just
Yeah.
talking about
The exclamation
the
on that.
exclamation under the certificate of abatement.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that was 190 whatever. I thought it was.
Next to the dollar sign, there's an
oh,
exclamation instead
it
of a
should,
line.
that should have been up here then,
Right,
that right there, that
Right.
sentence.
Now,
Okay,
this should be a 1, is what they're saying.
there is a one.
It's
No,
a-
it's an exclamation point.
Whoa. It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, does that mean we have to wait until next meeting to approve that?
No,
I don't
they
think
can
so.
approve it. I mean, you could even write,
Yeah, you can
on
write.
one of the copies, you
Yeah, the one
can
you
black it out,
guys
write
sign.
a 1, initial it, and then sign.
Yeah.
I think that would be
Yeah.
fine.
I think you're right.
approve, these are separate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to recuse myself, so I don't think I can make the motion.
I make a motion that we approve this abatement of 198.45. I'm just losing the owner's name here.
Down Point Corporation.
Down Point Corporation.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, and whichever copy you want to sign, that would be fine.
You got that, Suzanne?
This one will probably be good for studying. There's a lot to this one.
So, initially this.
And it'll be reflected in the minutes too.
All right, this is a little more complicated. So, tell us what's what here.
Okay, this concerns, Matthew 24-2. This is the gentleman who just bought the parcel off the town, Lamont.
Mm-hmm.
He bought, lot 2 off in Pellegrini, which is a Butz's piece.
Yep.
And that's basically why he wanted, the one that Lamont had, because he wants to turn it into, quarters for his relatives or whatever.
Mhm.
And he can service it with water, but I couldn't before. I don't fully understand why he brought that abatement to, and there is a copy of it in there. So let's look at the abatement request.
I don't understand the request.
Okay. It's a subdivision, and subdivisions have special rules. What happened here was, Mr. Pellegrini was paying on it as 2 separate lots, and there's 2 separate maps showing
Mm-hmm.
that some kind of an amendment was made for the piece on the water. And he was paying, 66% of the value on the water, which would come to 25,300 as a separate lot, a non-conforming lot of record,
Yeah.
a non-building lot. Then he was paying, again, 67% of the value of lot 2, which is a subdivision issue where you can figure that 67% is what they got. The other 33%, 33.3% is in administration and also for roads and whatever, the development of the parcel. Now, he knows what he paid last year because Mr. Pellegrini passed him the bill for the 25. And he had passed, he was sent the bill for 29.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had explained it to him that now we're gonna take a look at the deed. And that's where the problem comes. If you look at the deed, it says, the lot 2 on the plan amended the subdivision, again, you got a copy of the subdivision. It's referenced and it's in yellow what it is. This lot 2 contains frontage on the New Meadows River, and notwithstanding the fact that the line which is the eastern border of the right-of-way easement being retained by the grantor, depicted as solid line, which it is. Also includes the area west of the eastern side of the right-of-way and bounded by the New Meadows on the east, well, on the east, no, it's on the west. Lot 6 on the north and Labonte on the south. Okay. What he did here was, and you've got to look at the little map too that was made for the little piece. What he did here, he sold it for $175,000 to Mr. Newell, whatever his name is, saying that it's a waterfront parcel. And the thing is, the right-of-way, he conveyed in fee along with it. And when he conveyed it in fee, the two lots combined as one. All he had to do was hold the right-of-way, not convey it to fee, convey it to the west side of the road, and reserve and not convey the right-of-way, and it would still be considered as two lots. But you've also got a copy of the law from the second book on just what it is. I'll explain it, but it's in there anyway.
You wanna see it?
Yeah, that's it, okay. Contiguous lots, and this applies to all contiguous lots, vacant or partially built on. This one, there's no buildings on either one. And are a single ownership or joint ownership of record since the time of adoption of this ordinance. If any of these lots do not individually meet the dimensional requirements of the ordinance of the subsequent amendments, and if the principal use of the structure exists on one lot and the other lot, and one or more lots are vacant or contain principal structures, shall be combined to the extent necessary to meet the dimension requirements. The dimension requirements now, when this went through in 1986, the first subdivision, it was a 1 acre area. Since then, it's a 3 acre area.
Right.
Lot 2 is 2.68 acres. This little lot now abuts it because they sold him the road.
Right.
Therefore, it abuts the river, and it's a river lot, and the way it is in the town is that once it's on the river, the whole formula changes to the point where it goes much higher.
Right.
And here's the thing I can't understand, and this is what I've gotta go by, believe me, if I didn't have to go by it, but I gotta go by it. The only thing that bothers me is he's being assessed for the Labonte lot at $282,000 for the waterfront. The formula used on both waterfront lots is exactly the same. So why would he complain about that?
I don't know. But your recommendation is that we deny the abatement.
I don't think we have any choice. Don't think we have any choice at all but tonight.
Well, I move that we deny the abatement.
If it's meeting the criteria on the adjacent lot, then it should follow that standard.
It's not visible.
There's-
Non-conforming lots.
I'm seconding it.
Any further discussion? Then all in favor of denying the abatement? Please raise your hand.
Which lot is that you're denying?
There's a place to sign on the second
Um,
page.
You should,
Map U20, lot 000.
as far as
lot 4 and
as far as the
00.
motion goes, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
should be part of the motion.
Right.
No, I have several.
If you wanna go ahead and sign this copy, there's a place for whether you're denying
The
it.
lot numbers are included in the final version.
Should we add that here? And I'll put the lot number.
No, it's on the abatement page. Oh, and here. It's know I saw it. It's on there.
Probably in
Yeah.
the, right numbers on that.
This, our cell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe one of your new binders you brought in. Paperwork.
We have lots, you can choose your color and style.
Is this the? Okay, thank you. Thanks. I gotta go talk to my friends. Want this for your record,
I got mine too.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
now, the latest is I've got two more that I'm gonna look into on the new house. He hasn't even made, not officially made it out yet. but,
Okay,
I told him to come down and look at it.
okay.
When we were down there, I initially started the assessment, it was just foundation. He did hand me a map of it, and he changed a few things on the map, so I decided, and then he dug up a list of other houses he thought was comparable in the area. So I told him I'd go through, look at them, and then I will go and reassess the house. And the other one is down in your area where I can take another look at it. And that's it.
Okay,
It's pretty good.
all right. See you next month.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
Do we have any other business that we need to handle as the Board of Assessors?
Is there any update on, we were gonna have Ron go look at those pins on the board?
No, he hasn't dealt with that yet, he's had enough on his plate.
Okay,
I think the weather's gonna get better too, so we'll send him out in the
on
next-
a long day.
a little bit better, at least in the 40s.
So
Okay.
Yeah, not in the driving rain.
Well, I wasn't told about it anyway, I didn't know anything about it until I was told about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess
yeah,
pin is missing, yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I've
I
got
know
lot
you've
of
had a
those-
few things that needed to be dealt with.
I got a lot of those in Pittsburgh, and Harry Dowdy always used to tell me, he said, don't put your pins in my road.
That's good advice. I think that was the question, where's the road, and where's the property
Yeah.
line, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Is there any other? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
In favor? Second.
All right, let's adjourn.
You're not running away screaming yet, so that's good.
No.
Just wait until the camera's off.
Thank you all for coming. It's always good to know.